Hello, everyone. My name is Anthony Caruso III, and I am the publisher of the Capital Sports Report. I am also the host of the Capital Sports Report Live. Tonight, we are joined by former professional wrestler turned motivational speaker, Marc Mero. Welcome to the show tonight, Mark.
Anthony, it's great to see you, man.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. How did you get involved in wrestling? In 1990, you started your professional career. Well, you started in wrestling in 1990. For those that do not know, how did you get started in that field?
Well, it was a really strange thing. It all started when I had a bunch of friends over at my apartment. We were just watching television, and one of my buddies had the remote control, and he's like flipping through the TV channels, and he landed on professional wrestling. And I'll never forget. I just go, "Hey guys, I can do that." And my buddies busted out laughing, thinking, "They go, look at the size of those guys. They'll pick you up and throw you right out of that ring." I said, "No, I'm telling you, I can do that." I was 30 at the time, and my other buddy goes, "Mark, you're 30 years old. What do you do? Start a pro career now?" Well, I happened to meet some guys at a gym I was working out at, and they were some of the guys that were the enhancement guys for World Championship Wrestling that would drive 9 hours to Atlanta and hopefully get picked. So I asked them, like, how do you get into it? They said, "Well, you got to go to wrestling school." And I found out I was living in Venice, Florida at the time. There was a wrestling school in Tampa, about 60 miles apart. And it was Boris Malenko's wrestling school. Now, Boris is the father of Dean and Joe Malenko. And Boris was a top heel back in the day. So anyways, I started going to his school, and he started teaching me how to wrestle. And next thing you know, I went to WCW and hopefully get picked for television to be in one of the enhancement guys. Of course, they picked me, and Dusty Rhodes saw me after one of the matches and thought I had a resemblance to the singer Little Richard. And next thing I know, he had this gimmick, and we called it Johnny B. Bad.
Yes, I read about that. And then you also went by your real name as well in wrestling.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you have a favorite moment from your time as a professional wrestler?
Anthony, it's really hard to pick just one. I mean, obviously, when you win your first belt is really a real highlight of your career. And I won it from Steve Regal, the World Television Championship. Winning the Intercontinental Championship in the WWE was a big moment in my life because I had to beat the likes of Owen Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Ron Simmons. I mean, some of the top guys. So it was a real honor to be able to do that. But then having some great matches with the late Flying Brian Pillman. Fall Brawl was one of my favorite matches. King of the Ring with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Just blessed to be in the industry at probably the greatest time ever in the Attitude Era when there was the Monday Night Wars, and it was just the greatest time to be a wrestler.
You talked about getting started or joking with your friends that you can get started at the age of 30. Most people get into a professional sport way younger than that. But you were proving that age was just a number, and if you put your mind to something, you can achieve it. And I've always believed that. I've always believed that anything is possible. If you focus on a goal and you're dedicated to it and you have a desire to it, you can achieve it.
Anthony, perception is reality. What you perceive is what you will believe. And, age is just a number, but if you allow it to take over your life and kind of come and say, "I'm too old to do this," and where people say things like, "Those were the days," man. I'm telling you, these are the days. We learn from past mistakes. We grow in grace and knowledge. We do anything. You just got to set your mind to what you want to do in your life. Now, do I want to go back to wrestling at almost 64 years old? No. I enjoy what I'm doing right now because I get to still go out and entertain people. And good thing, Anthony, no one's hitting me over the head with a chair anymore. So it's a great life.
But in a way, what you do today to what you did previously is you're in front of people still, but you don't. In wrestling, they had the fans, but you have an audience. So that may have been you were more prepared for when you go into these schools and maybe businesses to talk to people about the issues that we're going to talk about later.
Yeah, in wrestling, you're there to entertain people, and when I speak at schools, we're there to inspire others, and that's what I love doing.
You talked about winning the Intercontinental Championship for WWF at the time, now WWE. What was that moment like for you? Because you talked about winning your first championship was very special, but winning that belt that has a lot of history behind it, that had to be pretty huge for you as well.
Well, not only that, I mean, the referee for that match was Pat Patterson, who was the first Intercontinental Wrestling Champion. So it was a real highlight to wrestle Farouk, who everybody knows is Ron Simmons, in the finals, and to beat him with the wild thing off the top rope was just an incredible moment for me.
Today, you are a motivational speaker. You have an organization, which you told me before we began, is in your 17th year, called the Champion of Choices. Why did you want to start that?
Well, Anthony, there's no greater joy, and you also know this, of making a difference in someone else's life or helping somebody else. That's where I really found my passion. What I really enjoy is making a difference. And it started off so simple. I went and spoke to in Melbourne High School 17 years ago. I spoke to their football team, and it has just snowballed from that. I've been all over the world. I've spoken in Guatemala. I've been to Russia and spoke at schools in Russia. I just came back from Puerto Rico not too long ago. It's just been an incredible, incredible journey. And, before the pandemic, we averaged 230 events a year. And then, of course, we were doing virtual events during the pandemic. And now just coming out of the pandemic, we're back over 100 events a year. And I leave for Texas on Wednesday, flying into Amarillo, and looking forward to inspiring the Texas students.
How many people? Well, sorry. How many schools are you going to visit when you go to Texas?
When I go to Texas, I'm doing two schools on Thursday, and then I'll be flying back, and then I'm going to New York after that.
Oh wow, New York is close to me. It's only an hour and a half train ride if you're going to New York City, anyways.
Actually, we're going into I believe we're flying to Syracuse, New York. We're doing schools up there.
It's out by like Buffalo, then.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a little ways from. Whenever you say New York, people automatically think of the city.
Yeah, exactly. Um, are you allowed to say where the schools you're going to speak to on Thursday?
Yeah, if you don't mind, let me. It's like a blur. Hold on one second. I'll tell you right now where I'm going. I'm going to.
Amarillo, right?
Yeah, I'm going to Dalehart High School in Dalehart, Texas.
Okay, and that's both of the locations on Thursday.
Yes, yeah. I'll probably be doing their middle school and high school there.
Oh, okay. When a school wants to book you to bring you out, how much advance notice do they need for you to come out to their location?
Well, I mean, obviously everything is scheduled usually months ahead of time, but
Yeah.
we're already booking, we're already scheduling for next school year for my 18th year for the 24-25 season. It's so weird to even say that. But we try to fit schools in because obviously our travel has to be bought and paid for way ahead of time to get the best rate possible. You don't want to buy tickets at the last minute, so we schedule like a month ahead of time usually.
Oh, okay. When you go to these schools, you one of the topics that goes around, one of the problems that happens at all schools throughout the country is we have a bullying epidemic, well, I call it epidemic, in society today. And these are people who they want to pick on others because they don't feel good about themselves. So they feel like if I pick on someone else, then it will make me happier or give me some kind of joy or some kind of Uh, I don't really know how they what they get out of it. But could you talk more about when you go to these schools? And one of the topics that I want to mention is bullying, because that's a problem in society today in schools. So when you go into these schools, do you have like a prepared statement, or do you just go off the top of the head and talk to them from there?
Now, the presentation gives examples of students that have been bullied and how powerful words are and how they could affect someone's life. Because we never know what someone else may be going through of that person you are picking on. Maybe their parents are going through divorce. Maybe there's been a death in their family. Maybe they've had a put down the family pet and they're heartbroken. Maybe they have a medical issue that you know nothing about. Words can kill because unfortunately, I meet the parents that have lost their kid to suicide because of what other kids have said and did to them. So by giving these examples and very, very strong wording and obviously testimonies from parents that have lost their kids to what other kids have said and did, really makes kids think about their words and how powerful they are and how they could affect someone's life. Because many kids that were bullied when they're young, they still remember it as adults, and it has affected their adulthood and their relationships, anger issues, depression, leads to a lot of things, and even suicidal thoughts later on in life because of things they went through as a youngster.
Yes, and I was just going to mention that when you were talking about that. So when you're talking about bullying that can go last impact them throughout their life. Well, a lot of these people they'll have to go to counseling for a while if they choose to do that. If they don't, then they're just dealing with the anger or their problems from what happened to them previously. So when they go through counseling, then the counselor can hopefully help them.
You know, I often say that the people that don't get some type of help, whether they talk to someone, a trusted adult, their parents, a friend, someone they could talk to, a therapist. And when you hold something inside, Anthony, it's often like a volcano. And sooner or later, that volcano erupts and erupts in negative behavior. It could lead to horrible, horrible bouts of depression, anxiety, you hurting other people because of the pain that you've gone through. But it could also lead to suicidal thoughts. And I really share with people how important it is to open up and talk to someone about it. People go, well, it makes you feel weak. No, I know it's actually, you have no idea how strong you are by doing that. And it really can change your life. And as I look back on my life, that's one of the worst things I did was hold on to issues, which led later on to anger issues and depression, anxiety, and of course, hurting other people and having horrible relationships, and as getting older and as an adult, going through marriage and divorces and marriage and divorce and finally getting the help I needed and talking about it. And now that I've been on the stage for 17 years, I get to talk about it every single day. It's like my built-in therapy in a sense.
Wow, that's good. As you know, and I know, going to counseling, there's a stigma around that today, where like for years and years, if you went to counseling, like maybe you're a weak person, or there was like it was a bad thing. But now, like, people are starting to maybe open up to the idea that maybe it's not a bad thing.
It's a great thing, actually. And I think there's so many people that have therapists or people that do see a counselor or a mental health specialist, someone that they could talk to about depression, anxiety, maybe something they're going through. Maybe it's even going through something at home or at school. But man, we can't take your broken pieces until you give away those broken pieces. And giving away those broken pieces can change your life.
When you go to these schools and you talk to them, uh, do you see many kids that are willing to open up to you and talk about things, or that maybe they'll go to you a presentation that you do, and then later on maybe they'll get help and then reach out to you on social media saying thank you for talking to me on this day, and then helping me with my problems?
And through our social media platforms, because I do so many schools, we get over 100 messages every single week on students that say the presentation, helped change their life or even saved their life. But also from the counselors that said so-and-so came and spoke to me and because when he wrote to me, I said, "Will you do me a favor? Will you talk to your counselor at school?" And I always want them to feel engaged. And I'll say something like, "Let me know how it goes." And they can't wait to write me back and share with me what they talked about in counseling or how it helped them. And then not only that, because I've been doing this for so long, I get the letters from the adults that saw me back when they were in high school or middle school
I
that
was just
now
gonna
have
ask you
families.
that.
I'm sorry.
I was just gonna ask you if you had, since you'd been doing it for so long, did you have like
Yeah,
reach out to you from when you first started?
it's amazing how many people have seen me over all these years. You know, many of my videos have gone viral where they're seen by millions and millions of people. And so I'm blessed that I've had the platform to help so many people.
Yes. For those that do not know, when you go to a school, how long is that presentation?
I ask for an hour. It's usually about 50, 55 minutes, but I like to make sure I get an hour so it's not rushed at all, or if we're in between bells or something like that. I want to make sure that there's plenty of time where it's not interrupted. And because it's very powerful, it's a multimedia presentation. When I'm talking, there's things happening behind me on the screen of videos of when I grew up or pictures of where I lived and things like that that are relevant to my story.
Yes, and I think that that'd be a it's very impactful to like for me, like when well I don't do I talk to people, but I don't like put it on social media. But going to counseling because my like I told you beforehand, I have family problems, and I went to counseling for 2 years, and now my mindset, my mind is so good. And like when I talk to people, like the other day, I made a post and I said like, don't ever believe in small-minded people, and um, sorry about that, because they will. Let me see if I can find it real fast. Uh, I said I have a message for everyone. Bet on yourself. You were given your dreams for a reason. Nobody else received those dreams. Do not let a small-minded person tell you that you cannot do anything. Those people will never understand your dreams. Keep the faith. Keep believing. Take the negativity from others, and let that fuel you. It has fueled me throughout my life with two college degrees, my sports brand, and other things that I've done in my life. Because on Thursday, I had interviewed five of the top 12 picks in the NFL draft, and that was the eighth time that I've interviewed the number one overall pick, and the fifth time that I've interviewed the number one and number two overall picks. And I've always believed in myself, and when I put my mind to something, I'm gonna achieve it, and nothing will get in my way. Like I may have some setbacks, I may have some failures, but those failures build build you to learn to get what you ultimately want, and over time you're gonna get it. You just got to be patient.
You know, it's through those struggles we find our strength, actually. And you know, without failure, man, you pass failure on your road to success. And anyone that's successful has had failures in their life. Anyone I've ever met that is successful has had failures in their life. So please don't let that stop you out there that feel like that you're not going to make it.
Oh, that's what I say. I'm like a very dedicated to what I do, and I feel like, yeah, I may have some setbacks, but like tomorrow's another day, and it just another way for me to go attack my goals and achieve everything I ever said I was gonna do or envision in doing. Mark, also in your presentations uh, today, we also have a lot of abuse going on with parents in the household and stuff. And as I alluded to you, I experienced abuse. I'm a victim of abuse from my parents when I was growing up into adulthood, and now going to counseling, I've been able to stand up to these two individuals and a narcissistic woman and my mother who has weaponized my family against me. And it's pretty sickening what she has done. But all these people who abuse, they never do it in the public eye. They always do it behind the scenes. And then when you talk about it, some people don't want to believe the victim, but they're the only ones speaking about it. So, do you also talk about like abuse in your presentations as well, besides bullying?
It's all the relevant issues that a young person may be experiencing, and abuse obviously is a big part of it. Whether it's happening at home or happening at school, happening to them by an adult, it is openly talked about, and it has to be dealt with.
Yes. You also will mention mental illness. Mental illness is a problem in society today. Excuse me. It's people don't know how to handle that. Where a person has a problem and they don't may not feel like they have a problem, and that's another issue today as well.
It is, and we're seeing a lot of mental health issues in schools today, especially. And see, the problem is, Anthony, is that we have every school has counselors at school, but not enough schools have mental health specialists that can deal with kids that have these issues with mental health. And sometimes, like a county might have one or two for the whole county, and it may take 3 to 6 months to get an appointment with that mental health specialist. And I think that's where we need more funding in our public schools, all our schools, with mental health specialists and people that are. And it's a great field for people that want to get into that want to help other people, because it's a wide open field that needs a lot of people to take care of these issues in the future.
You said that schools may only have one, and it could be backlogged for a while for a person to see them. What can we do, me, you, and others who may see this or may want to try to help? How could they get involved to try to change that?
Well, it's all about starts with our mayors, our congressmen, people that are in charge that have to fund these. And when they put together their budgets for their schools, their counties, their states, they have to include more money for mental health specialists for that kids can go and see these people that will help them. Otherwise, we're going to see more and more suicides, more and more radical behavior. And of course, it could lead to, some of these school shootings that we see are definitely mental health issues.
Yes. So you're saying it comes down to each government or each municipality in the given county that they are in. So some schools may have a budget for it, some may not. So maybe like a fundraising could potentially help with that.
Well, it's a long shot, but it really has to come from, because there's so much red tape along with all this. It isn't like you just go and hire a mental health specialist and put them in a school. There's a lot of bureaucratic red tape and a lot of things that they have to go through to be able to do this. So I mean, I'm looking at doing it the easiest and proper way is we got to get state funding for more mental health specialists in schools.
Okay. You talked about radical behavior and unfortunately school shootings, but unfortunately we see a lot of them all over the country.
Yeah, it's so sad of how many families have been affected by school shootings, and we see them more and more and more. And it's just a matter of time before we see another one, and something has to be done. We've got to do more about it. The one thing I'm seeing more of, and I'm really happy about this, is seeing more resource officers at schools. Many of the schools I go to now have an SRO, school resource officer, that is stationed at the school all day long, which can really deter a school shooting because nobody wants to walk in with a police officer standing there guarding the place. So that's a good thing, but not every school has it. And again, it comes down to budgeting. And I think that's what we have to really fund our money is to bring in SROs and mental health specialists for our schools, for our kids.
You talked about school shootings. Have you been to a location after a school shooting and went in to talk to students?
I have. I've been to the one that was one of the biggest ones that was in Washington. I've been to that one. I've been to Sandy Hook. Been to a few of them. Met parents that have lost their child to gun violence, and it's heartbreaking. It really is.
Yes, we need to hopefully end that. And
I actually have a meeting tomorrow at 2:30 with a mother that lost her daughter. She was shot at Sandy Hook, and we're going to have a meeting tomorrow about how we can work together to prevent these in the future.
would that potentially lead to maybe like making it up to Congress or like maybe a meeting with the president?
Well, that's again, that's something that I would love to do. I wish more I wish more was being done. And like I said, the things I shared with you are two of the things that we really need in schools. The shooters obviously have mental health issues, and we need deterrence with more SROs that can be at schools.
You talked about some schools not having a school resource officer, and that comes down to the budget. Um, how should I word this? So then it comes down to they have to have the money, or could the town that doesn't provide that the school doesn't have one, so maybe the town could put an officer there, but then how's that officer getting paid? So then that comes into the question again. Is it what I'm trying to say? Would the school pays the officer, or could the town pay the officer to be there for the students?
Well, every town is a little different, and sometimes it's funded by the state, by the county, or sometimes the schools have enough resources from state funding that they are able to hire an SRO. It's different in different places. Every state has different rules. So, and because I go to almost every state during my school year, I see a lot of, obviously good and bad.
You go to all 50 states throughout the school year from
Well,
September.
not in one school year. I'm doing over all these school years. No, I don't have that many. But I've done as many as 293 events in 1 year, so it was pretty close.
Wow.
I think the only state I haven't been to so far, I think, is Alaska. I know I haven't been to Alaska, so that's one state I haven't been to. But we have gotten people that have invited us there. We're just trying to work out the logistics for it.
It may be cold when you go there.
I'd like to go maybe during the spring, but no, whenever it is, it is. Believe me, I've been up in Canada when it's been very, very cold. So, and hey, I'm from Buffalo, New York, man. I know what cold is all about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You talked about not being to Alaska yet, but you're talking to people that invited you there. When could you potentially check that off your list?
It's all about scheduling. We work around each other's schedules and how many presentations they need. Obviously, funding is expenses to fly us out there, and hotels and rental cars, and there's a lot more that goes into it that people don't understand. It isn't just like I just show up at a school and talk to kids. They have to have this scheduled, prepared. We have to send a tech writer of all the things we need for me to do the presentation at the school. So there's a lot that goes into a school presentation.
You mentioned Alaska is a place you haven't placed yet. Is there any other places that you haven't gone to yet as well?
I would have to look at my schedule, but I just knew it's one that I've always wanted to go to anyways, Alaska. But I'm almost confident I've been to just about every one. There might be one or two other ones I haven't been to, but I can't think of them offhand.
Here in the United States?
Yeah,
Oh wow. Have you been to New Jersey?
many times.
That's where I'm from.
I was in New Jersey last week. Matter of fact,
What? When we were talking?
yes, I did Emerson Middle School, and there was another school we did too. I can't think of the name of it offhand, but Emerson, they were right near each other. So we did two schools there.
Oh, so you were in North Jersey then. Emerson Middle School is in Union City.
Yeah, we did. Here, I'll tell you right now. We did Emerson and Union Hill Middle School.
Okay, so you're up North
But
Jersey.
that was just last week. I mean, the month before we were in New Jersey. We're in New Jersey a lot. That's New York and New Jersey are kind of our hotbeds of school because there's so many of them.
Wow, I didn't know that. Maybe it was a good thing I reached out to you then.
Yeah.
Because I'm in more so like South Jersey, and well, some people call it Central Jersey, but some people call it South Jersey. I don't know. I don't get in political stuff, but so Trenton is like the middle of the state, and I'm like 30 minutes from Trenton,
Okay.
so not too far. And for me to go to Philadelphia is about 30 minutes. You said you were in Puerto Rico. You've also done other places overseas, or yeah, overseas. Um, what was your like going overseas to talk to the students? How has that
Well,
worked out? Because that's got to be different than here in the States, right?
no, actually, Russia was exactly the same. The
Oh wow,
same issues that we go through here. Their students go through depression, anxiety, bullying, suicidal thoughts. A lot of the same things. Um, Alcohol, drugs. We really had a great time over there. Over there. I had to use an interpreter, so he was fantastic. I mean, the kids didn't miss a beat. It was just like speaking here in the United States. It was just incredible.
so then you would say something, and then the interpreter would follow you.
Excuse me. Yes, I would say pause. He would say it, but it was seamless. He was so good. He was like very quick and very good, and the kids didn't miss a beat. It was really good. And then Guatemala, it was really strange because we did day presentations for students and we did night presentations for the parents. The night presentations they had to have interpreters, but during the day all the kids knew English. They were
Oh,
amazing.
wow,
They spoke like you and I.
wow! I wouldn't think that.
Yeah, no, it's one of their uh, I guess their second language they learned from growing up.
Wow, I didn't know that. And they have like this what you're talking about, the basically all the places around the world is dealing with it, because you're saying it's the same issues in Russia, the Guatemala may have the same
Yeah,
issues, so it's a worldwide thing that you're
it
trying to
is.
that.
It absolutely is.
And being a one man trying to do this, you may feel like a lot of you may feel like you got an elephant on your shoulders.
Well, the good thing is there's a lot of other people that are doing the same thing I'm doing, and a lot of them become my friends that do this, and so proud of what they're doing. And we crisscross each other's paths a lot of times during the year. But you do take on a lot because you take on a lot of people's pain, and it's one of those things where, man, you can't save everybody. I mean, you try your best. It's like the best analogy I could ever say is the analogy of the little boy throwing the starfish back in the water. He's walking along a beach, and there's thousands of starfish that washed up on the shore, and he's picking them up and he's throwing one by one back in the water. And an old man sees him. He says, "Hey, kid, what are you gonna do? Save them all?" And he picks another one up. He goes, throws it in. He goes, "I just saved that one." And that's the way you got to look at what we do. We try to help as many people as we possibly can.
Do you feel overwhelmed when you do these speaking engagements? Because it's got to. I feel like when you talk to some of these people and you hear what they're going through, it's got to be tough on you too.
That's absolutely true, Anthony. Right now I am single. It's not great on relationships because you spend a lot of time um, writing kids or emailing or speaking to them or helping them, and it's heartbreaking when you see a kid that has fallen, or you're going to a school that has had a kid that took his life, and that the principals have to tell you about it. It's just heartbreaking, So you take on a lot of pain, but it's it's my calling. It's what I believe God called me to do, and I'm going to do everything I can to do the best job I can possibly do. I want to save and help as many kids as I possibly can before I'm gone, or I'm out of here.
Do you space these out? Because you talked about the impact that you feel. Do you space these out so that when you do have those feelings from when you interact with them, and then you may feel something and may have to take a break? Do you
No,
have
I
people
mean, like for
a week?
example, we got two schools coming up, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
like you can't cancel the next school after that because you're worried about something that was said or whatever. You just got to keep plugging along, man. There's no rest for the weary, that's for sure.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you would do like those two schools and then take like a few days off and then get back at it maybe like next week, because something one of these students may say to you may hurt you in a way that it's it may take you time to maybe recover from it, because of the fact that some of these things that some of the students may say to you is rough, and we know like the things that as a victim of abuse or bullying, it takes a toll on you, and it doesn't over time you could heal from it, but like initially it's very impactful.
Well, it's one of those things where if you just play a really rough game and you have it a game the next day, you got to be ready to go again. That's just, I mean, I've many times, I've done five in one day,
Oh
five
wow.
events, 5 1 hour events in one day. And it just takes its toll on you. The next day, you're on a plane going somewhere else to do two events or three events, or, it's whatever the schedule calls for. But I am trying to schedule less because as I get older, it does take its toll on your body, mentally and physically. So I'm only doing maybe about 110, 120 a year now.
Okay, so what would that translate to maybe like a week?
Well, I mean, think about it. We schools are usually at 10 months. So when you're doing say you're doing 10 a month, which is two a week, three a week.
You talked about five in a day. How did you coordinate that? So you'll do like some in the morning, some afternoon, then like
Yeah, like usually it's two or three schools. What I do is two schools in the morning, two schools in the afternoon, and then we do a community night for the parents and the bring back their other kids for an evening event, community event.
would you get more from that than speaking at like a school for like the
Well, the
community
community
event?
event is great because the parents show up, and you can really, because parents don't always maybe fully realize what some of these kids are going through, and I think when they hear it um, from another adult of what I'm experiencing with their kids or many of their kids, it really hits home, and it opens up dialogue and conversation, and putting the phones away at dinner time and spending more time, quality time together. I mean, these smartphones have outsmarted us, Anthony.
Oh, I got a question for that. But I want to talk more about the community events. Do you? Because you talked about on Thursday, you got two at the schools. How many community events would you do, or do you still do them today?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're actually really fun to do because after a community event, you get to meet families and take pictures, and really, there's no, like, you don't have to rush off and catch a plane because you're staying overnight usually at that place. So it's a lot of fun to really open up and talk with parents, and especially the parents that bring their kids that are going through hard times, depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts. They were able to really share and talk about it.
You talked about these thingies, the
Yeah,
phone being they're very bad today with teenagers. You got a lot of teenagers on social media, and social media is one could be addicting, two could be a bad place because you got some crazy people out there today that want to do some things to your children. So that's a bad thing right there.
it really is, and when we have community nights, we really talk about monitoring your kids' social media, how long they're on their phone for, because many of these kids are scrolling all night long. They don't get very little sleep. They're so addicted, and it affects their schoolwork. It affects their moods, their discipline, and eventually their future. And so I really, parents have got to buckle down. We got the inmates running the asylum now. It's got to change, man. Parents have got to start getting a little tougher with these phones. And the thing I don't understand is a parent that gives their kid a phone at such a young age, where they're not even capable of really understand the detrimental effect it has on their kids. And they think, oh, my kid would never go and see this or that. I'm telling you something. The violence, the pornography, the detrimental things they see on these phones is just affecting their brains.
Yes, there was actually I saw it on a racing page that I follow, and one of the racers shared that like some kid in Mississippi at like 15 years old, just like up and left from their residence like early in the morning, and didn't want their parents to know. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's it has really affected a lot of families, and but it's what we allow. What you allow is what will continue.
Do you think that parents should put a time limit on their children using social media?
Absolutely, absolutely. They should have, the phones should be taken away out of their rooms at night. Taken right out of their rooms. They shouldn't even have access to phones in the evening, and because it affects their sleep. And when you're growing, and your brain is developing, you need that really deep sleep.
Yes, they need like 8 or 9 hours, maybe more than that. And some people don't. They don't even get that today. Maybe get like 3 hours, and then they're like up and going, and then they're just dragging later in the next day.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
You talked about parents giving phones to their children at a very, very young age. You can kind of understand what they're doing in case of emergency, but other than that, it could be very bad on. You talked about the brain. It could impact them on the social media aspect and other ways. Like the parents don't even know who they're communicating with because unless they go in and search their phone, they're not going to know what's really going on.
That is one of the. It's a real tough point. I mean, we never had phones as kids, and we got along just fine.
Yeah.
But let's just talk about the security risk of it. Okay, you can give a kid a phone that doesn't have social media, that doesn't have access to internet, that can call him or her, text back and forth if there's ever a problem. So when you go and give the kid the new iPhone 14 because you want to make them safe, you're kind of defeating the whole purpose of what you're trying to do.
Mark, what do you do in the summertime? Do you still go out and talk to schools, or do you
I
still
do
work off?
some youth. I do youth camps. I do boys and girls clubs. I do more churches, church events. But not as much. I mean, I really like to spend time with my family because I don't get to see them as much as I would like to. My daughter comes in from Maine, and we have a great time with her and my granddaughter. So I look forward to that.
How often do you get to see her?
Well, I mean, because of my travel and her schedule, we don't get to see each other as much as we'd like to. But we do make a special thing every summer that we spend quality time together. And we go, I let her choose wherever she wants to go, whatever she wants to do. Usually,
Oh
you
wow.
know, I'll tell you something. You don't know how much a 10-year-old can wear you out, man.
Well, I got a 5-year-old nephew. He runs
Well, I'm talking
around
about
the house.
my granddaughter. She's young and took her to Six Flags. And man, by the time you climbed up to the top of that slide and went down, she's ready to go again. And you're like, damn, man.
Yeah, he was
But
like,
it was
I'm already
worth
worn
every
out.
step. I know I gotta stay. That's why I gotta stay in good shape here, man.
When you talked about the states, when you go to Maine, have you been able to visit her?
Yeah, we did
Like when
schools
you
out
went to
there
school
actually.
together?
Yeah. Yeah. If I go to Maine, I will definitely go and see my daughter. I mean, whenever I have the chance to see her, but it's usually I fly them here because they like the warmer weather and they like to do. We have a lot of really cool stuff to do in Florida and Georgia.
Oh, okay. You talked about youth camps in churches, and that's what you typically do in the summertime. How often will you be able to or go out and talk to them?
You know, every summer is different. You know, I mean, it's strange because the summer they usually just pop up out of nowhere. It's like someone says, "Oh my
Okay.
gosh, we should have Mark's come and speak to our church or youth group or whatever." And so you know, if I do a half a dozen in the summer, that's fine with me. That's good. But I really do like to go to churches and speak about my faith and my relationship to God and how important that is for me, which I can't do at public schools.
That's where I'm going to come in with this. Your message is believe and never give up. That's your two biggest messages, and that believe comes with faith, and you got to keep your faith in what you do, and with your message and with what I do in this is you have to believe that you're going to be successful. You can't be okay. I'm going to do this and then quit. It will never work out. You got to keep going every day. Make efforts to it every single day to get what you want, to get where you want to be, and that takes time.
Yeah, I mean, the whole message we have is there's two words I say I want people to walk away from my presentation is I believe, and even though I can't talk about my faith in God, every time before I ever present at a school, I have my prayer with my team, and I just say I pray His love and light shine through me in some way somehow that students will feel empowered to change their lives in a positive way.
Do you lead that prayer?
I'm sorry.
Do you lead the prayer with your team?
Well, I mean, I can't pray with I pray backstage with my team, but I
Yeah, but
can't.
I was wondering when you meet with them before you begin, do you lead? Are you the one speaking to the group, or do you have someone else like a chaplain who speaks
No,
for?
no, it's me. I don't travel with a whole lot of people. I travel with one or two people. That's it, and
Oh,
usually it's
okay.
just me and another person. So we just hold hands and pray, and just hopefully that lives are going to be changed that day.
Wow. Okay. You talked about your faith, and that's like people who believe in faith, that's a big thing for them. And do you find when you talk to these people who come to you that may be very faithful or not faithful, but after speaking with you, they do get into the Lord?
Well, I've seen both ends of the spectrum. People that have faith in God, and there's people that just don't believe in God. But whatever their faith is, that's a personal choice that they make. I have my own choices in my life, and I believe in them with all my heart. And sometimes when they see that I do, it makes them open their mind and their thoughts to maybe there is something better out there, or someone I can talk to, or someone that is there for me. Because sometimes when you're at the end of the rope, The only one there is God, and He's been there for me.
Yes, and I have a pastor that I talk to, and he says that when you pray, you got to believe in what you pray, and you have to believe that what you pray for will become a reality.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yes,
And
it's a
it,
strong
it
faith to do that.
yes, and if you don't feel very what did he like for example, like he sent me this message today. He said when you follow your heart, you will always win.
Mm, I like that.
He always sends me like these encouraging messages because like sometimes like I may have like a bad day and like I'll tell him and then all of a sudden like he'll bring up some message and then it will be like impact to me like wow like I needed to hear that today.
Yeah, sounds like a good man, Anthony.
Yeah, yeah. Finally, Mark, you're very busy with the scheduling and with visiting these schools, and I think what you're doing is very courageous and it's very important for what you're doing. Is there a way for people to help you in your mission?
Well, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization, so it's one of those things where we get by with donations that people help us to pay for our travel and hotels and all that go along with that. Schools don't often have a lot of money for our presentations, so we have been there's some good people that have really helped us out. Good companies that have really blessed us. And but you can always go to our website, Think Pause, which is POZ.org, thinkpause.org, and there's a donation where you can help us out.
Are you allowed to fundraise to for the donations?
Oh, sure, sure. Yeah. We don't spend a lot of time fundraising. I'm not one of the guys that I'm out there um, begging for money. I really believe that if someone really wants to help us out and sees the benefit we do, that it happens. We've never missed a payment or paycheck or anything for our staff, and hopefully we never will because we stay strong in our faith, and we help a lot of people.
My nephew has a question for you, but as you told me, you don't really watch wrestling anymore. So I don't know if you want to answer this. All right, Scott, I'm gonna bring it in.
What do you think about the new WWE owners? From what I see, I mean, I'm on social media a lot, so I see a lot of things that are happening. But I think it's nothing but good stuff, man. I think it's new blood, new storylines, new. I think it's gonna be a really good thing. I think it's gonna. I think the storylines will be better. I think you got some really people that really care about the business that are heading it up now. So yeah, I think it's a good thing.
I think isn't his name Ari Emanuel? Well, I don't. I know you said you don't watch it anymore, but I think the guy who's in charge is a guy named Ari Emanuel.
Oh,
Could be
don't
misspoke on that, but I believe it's Ari Emanuel who oversees the TKO, the new WWE UFC brand.
That used to be the name of my finishing move when I was Marvelous Marc Mero was the TKO.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, let me see. I believe his name Ari Emanuel. Yeah, Ari Emanuel is the CEO of Endeavor, which is the entertainment and media agency that owns the UFC and the WWE.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yes. Mark, I talked about donations. If a person that's watching this or watch later that wants to invite you out to their location, would they go to your website to reach out to you
Yeah,
to do that as well?
there's a Yeah, there's our website has our phone number there, an email address, whatever you would need to schedule. It goes right to our secretary. My assistant, she will contact you back immediately, and hopefully we can schedule your school and maybe get it on the schedule this school year before the end of the school year.
Yeah, because there's um, well, let me ask you this, because you talked about high schools and middle schools. Have you gone to colleges?
Oh yeah, we do colleges too. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I
Yeah,
didn't
middle
know
school,
if
high
you.
school, and colleges. I start at the sixth grade and go all the way up through college.
Okay. How many colleges do you do in a year?
Colleges are not quite as many. There's always 4 or 5 colleges a year, but they're not. It's mostly middle school and mostly high schools are my prime target for getting kids ready for their future.
Okay. Mark, I would like to thank you for your time tonight. Thank you for what you're doing, and like I said a few minutes ago, it's very commendable what you're doing. It's very courageous that you are putting yourself out there to talk to these kids, and hopefully the parents and well, you talk to parents at the community events and college students to change their lives and to go through all this is for a person who's going through it, it's like a burden, but they may not know how to handle it. And for you to talk to them, it will hopefully get them to open up to seek help or find a pastor or someone to talk to try to get rid of this elephant that's on them.
Well, Anthony, thank you for having me on your podcast, and I want to thank all the listeners out there. And just don't ever give up on your dreams and goals. Stay strong in life and be an example. Be a light in this dark world. God bless you guys.
Yes. So outside of being on Facebook Live and YouTube right now, this video and podcast will be uploaded onto Rumble, BitChute, Humex, and also Spotify for podcasters. And then once it's uploaded onto the Spotify for podcasters link, it would then be available on the top podcast companies through that Spotify for podcasters page that we have that sends it out to like 20 different podcasts. Thanks again for your time tonight, Mark.
All right. Bye bye.